Hi everyone, my name is Reid, and today I'm reviewing the book The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This was the book you all wanted me to read. I made a video asking what I should read next, and this was your pick. I'm sorry it took me so long to get to reviewing this, but I finally got to it. It took me this long because, I'll be honest, I wasn't really interested in reading this book. It didn't sound like anything I was interested in. It's a historical fiction and kind of literary, so both of which are not really my genre. But I'm so glad I read this book. 100% glad I read it. So I'm gonna go into a spoiler-free section and then I'll get into spoilers later on in the video. So this is a standalone book. Like I said, it's literary fiction and historical fiction. And in the story, we follow Monique, and she is a journalist. She's working at this magazine. It's a prestigious magazine. She's kind of at the bottom of the barrel kind of position, and she gets asked to write a column about Evelyn Hugo. And Evelyn Hugo is this famous actress. She started out in the 50s and kind of made her way up, and she's kind of like a Marilyn Monroe kind of figure, but she's had this long-standing career. And Evelyn Hugo asks Monique to write a column about her. When Monique goes and meets her, she finds out she actually wants Monique to write her memoir or her biography. Monique doesn't understand why, but she agrees to do so, and we basically get Evelyn's story starting out when she was quite young, like 14 years old, and all the way to the present. I was just riveted with this story. I couldn't put it down. I read it super fast. It's extremely readable, which I was really thankful for, and not surprising, but encouraging, because I get nervous to read literary fiction. I don't really gravitate towards it, but this has definitely shown me that there is some literary fiction that is really accessible, and I would definitely say this is very accessible. And basically we follow her rise to fame and how she got there. Evelyn Hugo has very morally gray morals. She is willing to do whatever it takes to get there, and it's just like a riveting story. It's almost like hard to look away, all the things that she chooses to do in order to get to fame, but also protect the people that she loves. And it's a hard time to be a woman, for sure, and she made choices that a lot of people wouldn't make in order to get fame, but she's willing to do it. There's a huge cast of characters, and like I said, there's 7 husbands, and the way the story is structured is that it's broken up into 7 sections, so 1 section per husband, and you just follow her life story, and it's just riveting. I just couldn't stop reading. I really fell in love with Evelyn Hugo, and all the decisions that she made really seemed reasonable to me. Like, I was really shocked because I would never make the decisions that she made, but it was reasonable, even though it's not great, and she hurts people along the way while making these decisions. But it was such a hard time back then for a woman, and it was hard to get fame, I guess. So I found this, and it's very a glamorous, it was the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was a very glamorous time to be famous, and you definitely got that sense. So you follow along her life journey as she makes relationships, breaks up with relationships, clearly. And there is a connection between her and Monique, and you're aware of that little mystery at the beginning. And so the writer was very clever to keep you engaged, because from the beginning, she's married to 7 husbands, but you are always curious about why 7 husbands? How did these marriages all happen, and why did they all break up? And every choice she made always made sense. That's the thing that's so shocking. And it's amazing, to think, by the end of it, yeah, I guess you would end up with having 7 husbands if you made all these decisions. There is a big part of this narrative that a lot of people talk about. I'm not going to talk about it in the spoiler-free section because I think if you don't know about it going in, you would enjoy the surprise. I knew the twist, or one of the twists, I guess, going in. It didn't take away from my experience, but I'm gonna not bring it up in the spoiler-free section, but I will talk about it in the spoilers. I'll be honest, I don't know if there's anything specific that I want to talk about with the spoilers, but spoilers, I'm going on to spoilers now. I guess one of the big twists was that she, for the majority of her career, was actually in love with Celia. I think that's how you pronounce her name, a woman. And that is kind of like the big twist of the story, is that, you know, she ends up falling in love with a woman. And through the majority of her marriages, I think about 5 of them, she was actually with this woman or in love with this woman. And it was a very like rocky relationship, but they truly loved each other. And I really enjoyed seeing what it would be like to be in love with someone of the same sex living during that time. And on top of that, being famous, and if it were to go out, your career would be ruined. And not just that, but like your life would be ruined no matter what career you would be in, because people who are LGBTQ plus are looked down upon so fiercely. And it was a very tragic thing to read about, but I was riveted. I just was very eye-opening. And like I said, all the decisions that Evelyn made to protect her girlfriend and her other friends who were also homosexual made sense, and everything was staged. Some of the marriages were just staged, and it was really interesting. So she is bisexual, so she can love men and women, but her love of her life is Celia. And they met quite early in the 50s, I believe, and they pretty much were in love with each other throughout the entirety of Celia's life. I was really upset with the Dawn Elder storyline. I didn't see that coming. Even though, like, the thing that's interesting is that there's, like, a paragraph or two near the beginning where Monique, like, does her research, and she, like, goes through, like, these are the 7 husbands, and I would, like, go back and refer back to it to see, like, they would show what the rumors were about how each marriage ended and what it actually was about. So a lot of it was staged. A lot of the breakups were basically staged, but a lot of them were. So like Dawn Elder, who hit her, it's in the beginning they said that's why she left, and that is one of the reasons. With Rex North, it was a marriage of convenience. They both were actors, and they were basically using the marriage in order to further their careers, and they said they ended it in affairs, even though like they weren't even really together. And then I loved the dynamic she had with Harry, who was her best friend and one of the main producers that she worked with. And he was in a relationship with a man. And I loved how James, that was Harry's partner, married Celia. And then Evelyn married Harry. And so they basically like had a family, and, you know, like it was all staged, but they did that in order to make their relationships work. And I cried a lot in this book near the end. Like, this book really broke me. Like, I cried a lot. It was very tragic, with a tragic ending. But I loved it. I can't stop thinking about this book. I highly recommend. I should have said earlier, I gave this book 5 stars. A high recommendation from me if this sounds like something you would want to read. It is very sad, but I highly recommend. So I think that's all I have to say. If you've read this book, please comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about it. Thank you for making me read this book, because I don't regret it. It did break me. Like, I'm like broken. But I'm so glad I read this book. It's definitely making me think a lot. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you have not done so. You can follow me on Goodreads and Instagram. And you know what? I want you to keep reading. Bye.